So what have you been doing here?
We've been playing around. Memory's getting cheap, right?
It's very cheap.
It's extremely cheap.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, gigabyte sticks, we had 130 go for no brand.
130 a gig.
$220, $250 if you start getting branded RAM. Yeah.
Can you believe that?
So we started playing around. I started thinking it's about time to start taking a look at RAM disks or RAM drives.
Giant RAM drives.
Exactly. So the idea is that you run some software in your system. In this case, we use some software from SpeedDisk. Installed it into the system, RAM Disk XP Pro. It's about 55 bucks. 35 if you're running XP home. You load it onto the system, and it sets up a little application like this.
Now, you have to have a lot of RAM in the system to begin with. How much RAM is in this?
Kingston hooked us up and loaned us 3 1-gigabyte sticks of PC2700.
So this is a 3 gig system.
Yeah, we got a 3 gig system.
And now we're going to apply some of that. We obviously don't need all of it for Windows. We'll apply some of that to basically a virtual disk drive.
So we saved a mere 1 gigabyte for Windows. And we started playing it. We loaded up. We created, if you take a look at this, a 2 gig FAT32 file system in the main system memory. And I want to take a pause here because a lot of people, they think about RAM drives, think about RAM's volatile, right? You take the power away, it forgets everything.
That's the problem with this. Don't we have to reload it every single time we boot?
Exactly. There are some dedicated devices. Senatec makes
it's battery backed up,
which are battery backed up. In this case, what you either want to do is set it so it backs up every time you shut your system down, or you want to use the backup now button, which is the one over here, and that'll back up your system information.
Does it make like an image file?
Yeah, essentially it stores an image file on your hard drive. The thing you have to remember, right, is that RAM drives, great time to be using an uninterruptible power supply.
Right.
Exactly.
Because, man, the power goes out, you're dead.
Now, we start playing around with doing some benchmarks on that. The software is pretty easy to set up. Basically, you click twice, you wait 30 seconds, and you have this huge piece of
2 gigabyte RAM.
Right, it's a huge chunk of RAM. It sounds like a tiny hard drive, but the idea is that it's going to load stuff faster. Now, a couple of years back, we were playing around with 1 gigabyte systems, and I was using Quake III, right? Quake III used to take forever to load.
Yes.
It just take about 40 seconds. By doing it on a RAM drive, it would take about 10 seconds.
That's nice.
That's nice. It's very nice. Well, we started looking at, these are some of our gaming systems, and they have the 8 megabyte, the special edition drives from Western Digital. So to load, once you load Quake III once, it was only taking about 3.5, 3 3/4 seconds to load a level. This was the same level that took about 40 seconds to load a year ago.
So it just shows you with memory, with the disk caching, that you're really saving
You get a huge speed. It's shocking. I was shocked to see how big the speed.
Now, was that before you put the 3 gigs in?
That was before we put the 3 gig in, and before we set up the RAM drive.
Windows is smart enough if you have a lot of memory to dedicate more to disk caching. So that may be some of the benefit right there.
Probably helps some right there. So, this case, you see this X drive here is my RAM drive. It looks like a regular drive.
So you copied all these files by hand over there?
What I did is actually installed it directly to that drive.
Okay. Oh, you installed Quake III to the drive.
Yeah, so if you take a look at it, basically your RAM drive shows up as another hard drive on there. It's labeled RAM disk. And so I started timing the install from the RAM disk, or the startup from the RAM disk.
Right.
And it took about 2.35 seconds.
No, I like that.
Yeah, so it's like
I like that.
I saved a whopping 1.4 seconds.
Yeah, but that's pretty good. That's 50% better.
It's actually closer.
Oh, it just loaded.
Well,
you guys, they didn't even catch it because they couldn't switch to it fast enough.
Well, let's go into let's click on single player. And
now, does it play faster?
It's not going to play faster, right? Because this isn't going to make your video games faster. Because almost every modern it boots awfully darn fast.
It's running from memory.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Almost every video game is running in main system memory in their processor.
Anyway.
But if you're accessing stuff like database files, if you're moving large video files, and it becomes it's kind of an interesting math. In some cases, I think some people create a cache or actually move their system cache onto the main system memory rather than creating a virtual drive in their hard drive. Super Speed will actually is another product.
So just make a larger cache might even get you some of the benefit, or if not all the benefit. Now, one thing we should point out, you can't do this in boot Windows because it's volatile.
Right.
You have to have Windows booted up before it even shows up.
Exactly. In theory, everybody says what I want to be able to do is run my XP system in system RAM. Not happening yet. We're going to play around with this.
Even those big solid-state drives that have battery backup, you can't boot from that.
Not that I know of, but we're going to play around with this some more. We got to scoot again. We talked about Kingston
before. Do it again. Close it out and
just
watch it again, because I didn't catch this. Do you have scan out of this now? Can you see this? Okay, good. So now we're going to close it. Watch now. Count from 1, ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3. There it is. That's how fast it moves.
Yeah, it moves pretty quick. I'm going to play around with this. Kingston, like I said before, is nice enough to loan us some RAM. I'm going to play around with looking at startup times for Windows XP, looking for some of the caching things we can play around with. So I think we can get some more dramatic results.
I think not to be underestimated. You say the RAM drive is great, but just having a lot of memory, you can cache more stuff. Windows itself might just get faster.
Yeah.
Just in the nature of life itself.
We're going to find out.
That's great. You can learn how to do all this where?
We got links up to screensavers.com.
Yeah.
At least we hope.
And